No, Your Honor, I just asked for assistance if they had any document that had a bearing with the financial transactions and related transactions of the Chief Justice.
But that will require an investigation, isn't it?
An investigation
by the AMLAC. Otherwise, their statement to you in reply to your query may not be accurate and true.
No, I think the AMLAC law requires that if a deposit of 500,000 plus is received by the bank, they are mandated to report to the AMLAC these transactions.
But there is no statement here with respect to the AMLAC in coming in, and that the transaction is one covered by the AMLAC. Am I right?
No.
Misleading, Your Honor. The witness already stated that she requested the AMLAC for assistance.
Well, this is a different question now. I'm just asking him about the assistance. If Your Honor, please. I'm sorry.
Reform the question.
Now, my question to you is, there is nothing on record, nor in the complaints of the complainant here, dealing with that AMLAC intervention.
No, Your Honor, there's none.
There is
Precisely,
none.
I asked the assistance of the AMLAC because I wanted to know if there are documents in the possession of the AMLAC that have a bearing on the complaints.
Would you like us to understand then that the AMLAC can just come in upon the request of any...
Counsel, may I read to you the Constitution?
Yes, Your Honor.
Powers of the Ombudsman. Paragraph 5. Request any government agency for assistance and information necessary in the discharge of its responsibilities and to examine, if necessary, pertinent records and documents. So it's a constitutional law. The supreme law of the land gives that power to the Ombudsman. And we are wasting our time on this particular point.
No, my point, Your Honor, is notwithstanding the grant of the powers, that power must be exercised in accordance with the procedure laid down by law. I am conversant, Your Honor. I hope the court pardons me.
Please go ahead.
Oh.
No, I'm not shackling you to articulate your position, but I'm just reminding you of the constitutional mandate given to the Ombudsman.
That insofar, may I proceed now,
Yes,
Your Honor?
please proceed.
That insofar as the AMLAC is concerned, and in the exercise of its powers, there must be a procedure to be adopted, and that there must be an application before the court, and the court must have granted the application, and that is the exercise of the power, the valid. The grant of the power is constitutional,
Right,
but the procedure...
The Ombudsman, being an intelligent witness, may answer.
You must be referring to the freezing of assets?
No, I'm referring to the general exercise of the power of the AMLAC, Your Honor.
The AMLAC,
My point is this: the AMLAC cannot just, in response to an inquiry, conduct an investigation, submit a report, and on the basis. That is my point.
If Your Honor, please, the point made by defense counsel is irrelevant. He earlier stated the proffer of testimony. And if you examine the request for subpoena, which they themselves submitted, they only offer two purposes for the subpoena of the Ombudsman. Number one, in order to prove that the Chief Justice Corona does not have foreign-denominated accounts amounting to $10 million. That's the first purpose. The second purpose is, and for them to explain why an investigation is being conducted on matters already within the jurisdiction of this Honorable Impeachment Court.
We have no quarrel.
The validity or invalidity of the actions of the Ombudsman with respect to the investigation being conducted over the Chief Justice, that's irrelevant here, Your Honor. In fact, those are legal conclusions which have no room in a trial.
We do not question the validity of the exercise of the power. We made that clear, Your Honor. But our point is, that power, although constitutional in character, in character, must be exercised in accordance with the procedure laid down by jurisprudence and the law. That's our point.
Well, if you want to establish that, Mr. Defense Counsel,
sustains it.
All that the Ombudsman had already stated, that she sought the assistance of the AMLAC. How the AMLAC performed his function, I do not know whether the Ombudsman is competent to testify on that. and she has already answered the question. She sought the assistance of the AMLAC. How the AMLAC got records, that if there are records that he got and delivered to the ombudsman, I don't know whether you can ask if the witness is competent to testify on that, if she knows how the AMLAC performed this function.
Well, I was just asking her whether the
We
record...
presume the regularity of official conduct.
Right, Your Honor. I fully agree with that. But as I have articulated, Your Honor, I have a point, and that is the validity of this alleged assistance made by the AMLAC without complying with the
Then that will
provisions
be
of the law on the
a
matter,
function
Your
of
Honor.
appreciation of the evidence by this court. If there's any violation by the AMLAC, that's another issue altogether. He will answer for it. So please proceed.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. Now, going back to the complaints filed with your office, more particularly one by the Honorable Noli or Emmanuel Tio Santos, did you notice that practically the entirety of the allegations therein mentioned are merely based on your newspaper accounts?
Asking for opinion and conclusion, Your Honor, and it's irrelevant.
Why? I'm asking you.
If Your Honor, please, I
May I
do not...
answer?
Based on newspaper accounts?
Yes.
Is that your conclusion?
No. Did you notice that what she stated there is based on
Under the assumption that I always read all newspaper accounts.
No, you. No, I have a definite question.
Yes.
I have gone over the affidavit
Yes.
of Noli
Yes.
Santos,
Yes.
Tio Santos,
Yes.
and I noticed that all that which was stated in there are practically coming from newspaper or newspaper accounts. And
Yes,
my
you
question
noticed
to you all,
it. You noticed it.
Yes,
You
and
said.
my question to you is, did you notice that?
Well, he attached to his complaint newspaper clippings.
And you will agree with me that newspaper clippings had no probative value whatsoever, especially so in this particular case where the subject to be investigated is a Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.
Irrelevant, Your Honor. I cannot understand the line of questioning because it was the defense panel who themselves asked to subpoena the ombudsman and to produce documents relating to the $10 million account. That is all. And we have already stipulated that the complaints do not mention the $10 million account.
Let the witness answer. She's a very intelligent witness.
Well, as I said, Your Honor, he attached to the complaint newspaper clippings. But let me emphasize that before I invoked the assistance of the AMLAC, I first asked the AMLAC, I first furnished copies of the complaints to the AMLAC, thinking that the charges might have had to do with matters within its jurisdiction. And then, when I wrote the AMLAC again, I only received yet the first complaint. In other words, the second and third complaints, including that of Mr. Santos, had not yet been with the Ombudsman.
Thank you, Madam Ombudsman. I propounded that question, Your Honor, Madam Ombudsman, in the light of what appears in this request that you sent to the Chief Justice. May I read for the record, Your Honor?
Yes.
While you may only be removed from office through impeachment proceedings, this office, as reflected earlier, has the power and duty to investigate you for any serious misconduct in the office for purposes of filing a verified complaint for impeachment, if warranted.
Yes, Your
It
Honor.
was on this account that this office conducted an initial evaluation of the complaints. I'm led by that statement of yours that it was on the account made by the complainant appliance that you conducted the initial investigation of the complaints. Am I
Yes,
right?
Your Honor, on account
Thank you.
of the complaints.
Yes.
Yes.
But there is nothing in the complaint relative to what you wanted to be investigated, and that is the $10 million account.
Precisely, Your Honor. Again, I sound like a broken record. I said, furthermore, we received report that the Chief Justice has $10 million. And that report was based on the report that was given to me by the AMLAC. And these are the documents given to me by the AMLAC.
So you totally disregarded the affidavit complaints
Not
of
disregarded.
Noli Santos.
Not disregarded.
In what sense or what value did you give to that complaint?
Well, there were 3 complaints in.
No, I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm merely referring to Noli.
But why should you
Santos.
drop the other complainants?
No,
Because they have essentially almost the same complaints.
May-
They were complaining against acquisition of unexplained wealth.
If Your Honor, please, I'm just asking a question. May we request most respectfully that the witness be admonished not to argue with the...
I'm not
this
arguing, I was just
representation,
explaining. Your Honor, I was just explaining.
Just a minute. The witness is explaining to the counsel that she did not see the 10 billion was obtained from a report to her by the AMLAC. She initially referred the complaint submitted to her by private parties, if I recollect her former statement, to the AMLAC, and there was a report returned by the AMLAC to her, and in that report was a statement about a 10 million account, $10 million account, supposedly of the respondent. Am I correct in this, Madam?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So that's the situation.
All right. The way I understood you...
Counsel, proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. The way I understood you, you received that report from the AMLAC. Was it prior or after your letter of April to the Chief Justice of April...
Prior,
20?
Your Honor, because I could not have told the Chief Justice that we received report about $10 million if I had not gathered it from the AMLAC data that was...
No, will you be kind enough to tell us why you did not incorporate that as a statement so that at least the Chief Justice will be able to answer intelligibly and correctly?
What statement, Your Honor?
That according to you, based from the papers coming from the AMLAC, there was this alleged $10 million deposit. That was not stated in your...
Yes, but I said report. We received report.
Yeah, but even that... I'm sorry. But even that does not appear in your letter request of April 20, 2012.
I thought it was not necessary.
So, why did you not consider that necessary when you are practically accusing a person of illegally acquired wealth, Your Honor?
I thought
Why?
it was not necessary to mention the source. After all, he said that account does not exist.
Oh, kindly let us-
Why should you know? All right.
Well, but that was... When he said that account did not exist, it was only after your letter
Yes.
of April 20.
But I thought it was not necessary, Your Honor.
That is your evaluation.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
To mention that it came from AMLAC.
Yes, but in order that the witness or the Chief Justice Corona may be allowed to explain well his position, why was it not necessary? What made you think that